going to give you a question. You are fake news.
All right, guys, welcome back to another edition of the MAGAmedia.org podcast. We're here for our first podcast of the new year. Going to recap the last decade from 2010 to 2019. Try and hit all the major events that happened and give you a quick recap of each one. We had a lot happen in the last decade, from the rise of President Trump in 2016.
The best thing that happened. That was the best thing that happened.
Yeah,
Make America great again. All right.
Barack Obama, 2012 election against Mitt Romney. We had Occupy Wall Street, Benghazi, Edward Snowden, Anthony Weiner. All kinds of things happened over the last 10 years in politics and sports, and we're going to start off now with what happened at the beginning of the decade. Around 2011, this started, the Occupy Wall Street movement. It reminds me of the global warming protesting we see today. I remember when this was going on, they were down there supposedly protesting the financial district in New York, yet when the reporters would go down there and interview a lot of these protesters, they had no idea why they were down there. It was just a massive party down on Wall Street.
Yep.
What do you remember about Occupy Wall Street?
One of the things I remember is that I actually did a lot of the covering for fake news CNN. That's when they had their I report. And I was an iReport reporter, so I did a lot of coverage for them as well as for another online publication, All Worlds something. But one of the things I remember is something that you said, Andy, is that most of the people that were there, they didn't even know why they were there. They was just there because it's like, hey, I feel like a hippie. I want to, those days of nostalgia when they had the hippie people running around and Woodstock. So they wanted a Woodstock. Needless to say, that some of the organizers were living in a hotel, the W Hotel, next door. So while you had these poor kids who are out there running around and dancing and saying, occupy this, instead of occupying a desk to get meaningful employment, they had the organizers leaving every night, going and staying in a 5-star hotel. So occupy the hotel while you had the plebeians outside protesting. What they're protesting, they don't know. What did they accomplish all these years later? Who knows? I doubt they know. But they feel as if though they were occupying Wall Street. They were taking up space and backing up traffic is what they were doing, to be honest with you.
It seems like, if anything, it might have been the first thing where we seen Americans emboldened wanting socialism. There was a lot of bitterness towards rich people going around at that Occupy Wall Street protest, I remember.
Yep.
So I think it was just a start of things to come that we have seen since then.
Definitely a start of things to come. And what I tell people is that when you look at these types of, and it wasn't spontaneous by no means. I mean, it was well organized. George Soros and a lot of other people gave them money. I mean, these people had food trucks. They had all this like luxury stuff that homeless people don't have, yet they seemed they were occupied. I think they even made a makeshift bathroom and a makeshift shower, and they would donate clothes for people to come and like sort through the clothes and put clothes on. I mean, and this is what I'll say. When you have movements like this, think about the people that are organizing it. They're already rich, and they're trying to keep you from getting rich. Hence, they'll say, let's destroy all the systems. But yet and still, they keep their money. Folks, don't fall for it. Please, don't. Come on.
That's exactly right. Moving on, during Barack Obama's reign, we seen him have to go up for re-election in 2012. In 2008, he defeated Hillary Clinton in the primaries, the Democrats, and then he went on to defeat John McCain. And then in 2012, we seen the Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan duo representing the Republican Party against Barack Obama, who had already had a pretty bad record for Mitt to run against. Romney was a weak candidate from the start, I felt. It's not much to get behind as an American. I remember I wanted someone to defeat Barack Obama, but I just knew that Mitt Romney did not stand a good chance. He's just not a very likable guy. What were your thoughts of the 2012 election?
Interestingly enough, when Barack Obama first ran, I did not vote for him. Like most people, they voted for him not because of what he could do, but they voted for him because it's like he was the first black president. Like, we got to vote for him, got to vote for him. I didn't buy into that at all. I mean, I am voting for the person who could do the job. Now, 2012 came along. I supported Mitt Romney, but then when I saw that Mitt Romney was falling by the wayside, I'm like, I'm not going to vote for either of the candidates. Now, I kicked myself for doing it because Barack Obama got a second term. But, like you said, Mitt Romney was a flawed candidate. He's even a flawed candidate today. Somehow he managed to get into the Senate, but he's still flawed. And I think that, when you have these flawed candidates going up against another flawed candidate, the flawed candidate of the Democrats will always win. What did Barack Obama bring to us and give to us? Healthcare, these mandates. You can keep your doctor, I promise you, which was a lie, a bold-faced lie. What else did he do? Well, let's see. He also bombed a wedding party in Afghanistan. Did the Democrats say anything about it? Oh, no. They were quiet about it. It was a mistake. What else did he do? Well, he also had Fast and Furious. This guy was plagued with problems. Yet and still, the media covered for him. So you got Mitt Romney out there who was trying to run against him, who was, like you said, a weak candidate, had no foundation. And what happens? Barack walks back into the White House.
Right. Just like Occupy Wall Street happened under Barack Obama's watch, so did the rise of the Black Lives Matter movement and Antifa formed during Barack Obama's reign of terror. It seemed like he emboldened these sometimes violent and destructive protesters.
Yeah.
It was a disgrace. He even invited Black Lives Matter to the White House to speak to him, which was clearly a racist group.
Yeah. And during his reign, Barack Obama emboldened a lot of negative groups. We saw the most police killings under Barack Obama, and he never once stood up to support the police. And not only that, Barack, he always came down on the wrong side of the law. And this is what I'll say to my black brothers and sisters and people of color, is that take a look at his record. Barack Obama had 2 black attorney generals. Okay? They're the chief law enforcers. Yet and still, under Barack Obama, there were more blacks who lost their lives under Barack Obama. Do you see that under the current president? No. What do you see under the current president? He's helping blacks. The Second Chance program, getting blacks out of jail, power improvement zones, black ownership and jobs. This president also helped historical black colleges. Barack Obama turned his back on them. But let me go back to the point I was making a while ago. 2 black attorney generals, yet and still, more blacks lost their lives. Now, go figure. What the hell is happening? And then, like you said, the Black Lives Matter group. Well, if Black Lives matter so much, you need to tell that to your fellow black brothers and sisters. Because if you go to Chicago, if you go to Baltimore, if you go to Detroit, you'll find that blacks could care less about the life of another black brother and sister. Okay, if you go to a lot of these big cities whereby you have Democrat mayors and you go to the black community, St. Louis is another one, you will find that the lives of black people do not matter when it comes to black lives. Now, let's focus on Antifa, a terrorist organization. And I wish President Trump would deem them and name them a terrorist organization because they are a terrorist organization. These people need to be stopped dead in their tracks. We want to talk about domestic terrorism, which the media loves to point out when they're trying to scare us with the white boogeyman. He's a terrorist. Okay, well, Antifa is a terrorist organization. They run around covering their mask, their faces. I would say Black Lives Matter, to a certain extent, is another terrorist organization. They're out in the streets saying, fry pigs in a blanket, fry them like bacon. Are you serious? And what did Barack Obama do? Nothing. Barack Obama, in my opinion, is responsible for a lot of the acrimony that exists in today's society.
That's right. I blame him for all the divisiveness we see in politics nowadays.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm, I want to say that he's the first black president, but what did he do? He will be a footnote in society for being the first black president. That's it. But what did you do, man? Absolutely nothing but because divisiveness.
While we're at it, we might as well finish up on a couple more Obama scandals that we were going to talk about. We have the Haiti earthquake, talking about Obama not helping minorities and people of color. There were hundreds of thousands of Haitians that died in this earthquake, and Obama and Hillary just kind of left them out to dry, especially the Clinton Foundation, we found out later. But the funds were not given to the Haitians like they were supposed to be. The Haitians were protesting the Clintons as they were running for president.
Right. Well, what Barack Obama allowed the Clintons to do in the Clinton Foundation is to pillage the country. They went in, took all the resources, parceled them out to all these different countries, but yet and still they were saying they were helping out. No, you weren't helping out. And Barack Obama now, this also dovetails into something else that's happening, took a look at this and said, wait a minute, we probably can't help the Haitians, but you know what we can do? We can bring in the Mexicans. Because if you recall, when he was first elected for president, he gave a speech saying that, hey, Mexicans can't come here and think that they can just camp out. Illegal aliens can't come here. But somehow, mysteriously, they moved from being illegal aliens to undocumented workers. Barack Obama was responsible for this. He shut the doors on the Haitians, but then he opened the doors on the Mexicans and the Hispanics and all the others that were crossing the border. After saying in 2008, they can't come here, that we have laws, you can't break our laws, he decided, but wait a minute, this is another part of the Democrat population that could help us stay in power. Really? So then a love fest was formed. While the Haitians were in doom and gloom, while the Clintons pillaged the country to this day. Not good.
Very tragic situation. Another tragic situation on the Barack Obama timeline happened in 2012 was the Benghazi attack. Hillary Clinton was asleep at the wheel, so to speak, as she did not answer her phone when they called to tell her that we were under attack. The Obama administration did not send the help that they had requested in the first place, and we ended up with dead ambassadors for the first time since 1979. And it still puzzles me that there was no long-term blowback for Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton after this.
No long-term blowback at all. And he pretty much just washed his hands of it because he had people like Susan Rice who was covering for him. And it's interesting because in her book, which I didn't read, I just read excerpts, she said that her mom even told her, Susan Rice's mom, told her, you need to be careful. Don't you take the fall for this. But she did. She went on all the Sunday morning shows lying and saying, well, this stemmed from some, YouTube video, et cetera, et cetera. No, it did not. Hillary Clinton lost sight of what she was supposed to be doing because she was probably trying to put together her run for the presidency in 2016. That's what happened. Barack Obama, I put this at his feet. An American ambassador killed. They were asking for help. And not only that, when you had this whole thing with the Arab rising across the country in Egypt and, Libya and all these other places. And they were saying, oh, look at this. This is democracy. And look at this. And this is great. But what happened? Nothing happened. Obama failed. He was a miserable failure. Okay. We just have to call it the way it is. He failed. He failed our ambassador in Benghazi. They claimed there was an Arab rising. Folks, let's wake up. That part of the country, democracy just will not work unless they want it. Okay, we got to stop trying to think that we can force our kind of democracy on them. It doesn't work. Some of them are just plain and simple savages. And Saddam Hussein told us that when Bush tried to remove him and did remove him from office, from his country. Okay, so we've got to accept that. So now, full circle, you have these same people who are saying, no, we did our best in Benghazi. Now that Donald Trump acted like a president should when he drew the line in Syria and they crossed it and he bombed the hell out of them. The same thing with Iran. For 90 days, those guys were sitting around toying with us and he was measured. All the while the Democrats and the liberal media were saying, oh, he's afraid of Iran. He's not going to do anything. Look at what they did. They blew up an oil ship. Look at what they did. They shut down our drone. Donald Trump is not going to do anything. He's afraid. Well, folks, he acted. He got rid of Baghdadi, and then he got rid of Somali. And what are you guys doing? Oh, how dare he? And then to top that, they're going to show his funeral on TV. Are you serious? So you guys don't want to balk at Benghazi, but what's happening now? The last decade was miserable under Obama. We now have a president who knows how to take care of business.
Yes, how things have changed in the few years. The world was laughing at us after Obama drew his red line, and then they crossed it, and he did absolutely nothing. Just weak leadership all around for President Obama. Terrible foreign policy.
Horrible.
Screwed up healthcare forever. Probably just a disaster of a reign as president. Thank God President Trump ran in 2016 and really changed the course of this country, because it would have been in big trouble had we had to go through 4 to 8 years of Hillary Clinton.
Oh my God. I hate to even think about it.
Barack Obama.
Right.
Another thing we've seen in the decade was a lot of mass shootings, a really uptick in mass shootings. We've seen the Las Vegas shooting, Mandalay Bay, the record, 58 people killed in that one. We've seen the one in Florida where Parkland, I believe, David Hogg emerged into fame from.
Yeah.
We've seen the attempt to ban guns, but through all their attempts, I would say no major legislation has been passed over the decade to ban weapons as of yet. Not that the Democrats haven't tried.
Right. And the reason being is that they're not serious about it. They want to blame all this violence on guns. Guns are killing people. No, folks, guns don't kill people. People kill people. We need to address the mental illness issue in this society, something that Democrats don't want to do. What do Democrats want to do? They want the homeless to run around on the streets rampant and do whatever the heck they want to do. Look at California. All the homeless people that are there. They're pretty much taking over San Francisco. Look at New York. They haven't taken over New York, but they're running around. We need to get to the root cause of it, and it's mental illness. And these are the same people who go out and get guns. And I don't care how many times Democrats try to institute and pass laws to say, well, we want to stop guns this and guns that. Look at Chicago. The toughest, Illinois. Illinois is one of the states with the toughest gun laws. Yet and still, we have deaths in the black community. What is going on, Barack Obama? That's your hometown. What's going on? So if you think you can take all the guns away to infringe on our First Amendment right, thinking that, oh, we can do this, you're wrong. It just won't happen. I'm sorry, Second Amendment, it will not happen. We gotta stop. Guns don't kill people. People kill people. And if you want to take away these weapons, why don't you start with taking away the knives? Look at the black guy who went into the rabbi's house and used a matchet to try to chop people up. You have more people killing people with knives than guns. Albeit, when they do use guns, you have like a mass killing. But let's just face reality. And that situation in Florida, at the Douglas McGeorge High School, whereby David Hogg came to fame, I mean, that was Obama's doing. Because had he not changed the laws, they would have zeroed in on that kid and got him some help. But what did Obama say? Well, no. If they get caught with a gun or something like that, let's just let them slide. Because we want to make everything even Steven. The exact same thing that the governor and mayor of New York are doing. The first of the year, they decided no bail for a lot of the criminals. One lady in particular went out and attacked an Hasidic Jewish woman. They arrested her. They let her go. She went back out and did the exact same thing. The same thing with I think on New Year's Day, a black man attacked a police officer. They arrested him, tried to fingerprint him and get his ID. He refused. they let him go. Let him go without bail. The laws that the Democrats create are not sufficient and they're not sustainable. So when you look at them saying gun laws, just think about it. It's not going to work. We need to get to the root cause of it. And the root cause is get rid of the Democrats and put in Republicans, put in conservatives, people who know how to control things.
Yeah. Speaking of mental illness, we've seen gay marriage legalized in 2015 and the rise of transgenders and the LGBTQ, HGB, whatever it is this week.
Yep.
The alphabet soup of letters for the liberals who are gay. And gay marriage was legalized in 2015 under Barack Obama. Of course, Hillary Clinton jumped on board after it was the popular thing to do, and finally endorsed gay marriage herself. My problem isn't really with gay marriage. It's with what has ensued since gay marriage. It's transsexuals feel like they're more in your face with the drag queen story hours, and all this other crap that they're pushing in our face and our lives in Hollywood and on the news on a daily basis. What did you make when gay marriage was finally legalized?
Well, I would say that what people have to realize is that initially Barack Obama was not for it. And he cited his Christian faith and whatnot, and that, I can't. But then Joe Biden forced his hand, and he came out and said, hey, we should legalize it. I'm just like you. You want to marry someone, marry the person that you love. I have no problem with it. But that being said, I do have a problem with this whole transgenders, transsexual, this scientific experimental thing that's being pushed. Okay? I have a big problem with it. I have a problem with society trying to tell me that a man can have a baby and that a man and a boy can have a period. Wrong. You cannot. Okay? You're either one or the other. There are only two sexes.
Or that a man can win an award in a women's sport.
Exactly. Male and female. Now, that's the real war on women, transgenders. Okay? Because you have transgenders that are participating in female sports and they're winning. We got to put a pause on this. That because you're questioning what's happening does not mean that you're homophobic or you're prejudiced or you're this. You're just saying, oh, look at this. Let's take a step back and let's look at it. Men cannot have babies. Boys don't have periods. And to try to push that and tell our children that it's so wrong. I mean, again, marry who you want to marry. I'm happy for you. I'll even attend your wedding. But if you think that I'm going to tell my child, or my cousin, or someone else that a man can have a baby, you got another thing coming, because that just can't happen, and it won't happen, and it's not happening. If a person is having a baby, it is a female. I don't care how many times you tell me, well, I cut my breast off, and I did this, and I did that, but I left my female organs. You are a female. Deal with it. And we need to start standing up and pushing back and telling these people, hey, this is just reality. They want to believe everything else about science. Oh, there's global warming and it's scientific. Okay, well, look at the biology on this. If you're having a baby, you are a female, plain and simple. And I don't want these people coming up with story time hours, dressed up in all their regalia, looking scary, reading to kids. Now, again, if you want to do that on your own time, and if you want to have a club and dress up, to each his own. I have no problem with that. Hear me out, because I don't want you guys coming, attacking me on Twitter and trying to get me shut down in social media. Hear me out. Gay, straight, bi, I don't care what you do in the privacy of your bedroom. But don't come to me trying to push a storyline that a man can have a baby or that transgenders are winning in female sports, and then you want to come in my face and talk about toxic masculinity. Mm-hmm. That's wrong. Okay?
It really affects and confuses the children.
It confuses me.
Yeah, it confuses us. I mean, I can't imagine being a child,
right?
Listening to this crap and trying to navigate what's real, what's true, what's scientific, what's not.
Right.
The NCAA's even recognized men and let them compete in female sports because they're transgender. And
it's wrong.
win races in track and field. And it's like, I'm morbidly curious to see what the liberals' end game with this is. Are they going to try and be able to get men competing in women's sports in the Olympics? I mean,
right. I don't think there is an end game.
Women have to stand up against this and
exactly
fight for their equal rights against transgenders, because that's the war on equality right there.
Absolutely.
And then we've got a lot happened with the British royals over the past 10 years. We had Meghan and get married to Harry, and we've got Prince Andrew, Jeffrey Epstein stuff coming out, and the Queen is still ticking along. It's an interesting decade for them.
Yep.
We've also got a lot of hurricanes happened over the past 10 years. That we had that monster down in Texas, and
right.
Quite a few in Florida.
Yep.
Terrorist attacks, mostly in Europe. We had quite a few. We had some here in America.
Yeah, but the
European, but
right.
Paris and Germany and the UK were been just inundated with terrorist attacks at the same time that
the Europeans
refugees in.
Yep, Europeans need to wake up and they need to close their borders and stop freaking out and saying that no, this is not the reason. You look at Germany, Angela Merkel, she realizes it. You look at Sweden, they're trying to brush it up under the rug, the proverbial rug, but the fact remains is that when you let these people come into your country, a democratic country, and they're not used to those freedoms, they will act out. And when you allow them to act out with impunity and not say, hey, you can't do this, they will continue to do it, and it will present anarchy, and it just rips society apart. And it's not fair to those people who are paying taxes. It goes back to Barack Obama and the Democrats wanting to let people come here and cross the border. You can't do it. Get in line like everyone else. And if you're going to come here, you need to assimilate or become a salad bowl and stop bringing all that craziness here. We don't want it here, okay? This is America. When in America, do as American. I cannot go to Mexico and try to rule Mexico. They will kick me out. The same thing with Germany. So if Germany wants to become a third world country as well as Great Britain by allowing all of these wackos to come in their country, that's fine. I don't want it here. Okay? Keep that over there.
Right. We've been through a few other topics so we can end on the 2016 election when we get there. We also have, in 2010, the very first iPad was released.
Yes.
And then also in the decade, Steve Jobs passed away. It's amazing how far technology came in the last 10 years.
It's unbelievable. I mean, I bought my first iPad in 2010, and the things you can do with it, just communications as a whole, and social media, like you said, Steve Jobs passing and then passing the baton on. And you look at where we were then as to where we are now and the way we can communicate and take pictures and stay connected. It's phenomenal.
Barack Obama's crowning achievement, perhaps, was the death of Osama bin Laden. That happened over the decade.
We've got to give him that. He did, take down Osama bin Laden. So, kudos for that, although he messed up other things. But, we will give him that so that people can't say that we're not giving him his just due, okay?
That's right. We also seen the rise in cancel culture. We've seen Roseanne get taken off her show for comparing, what was her name, to the character from Valerie Jarrett to the character from Planet of the Apes. We've seen Alex Jones and Infowars get completely banned from social media, from YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
The same thing happened to Laura Loomer. James Woods quit Twitter because he kept getting suspended. It seems like the cancel culture is always affects the right and not so much the left.
I was going to say the same thing. It does seem that way that whenever, and not only that, you had a what was her name? I can't think of
Megyn Kelly.
Megyn Kelly, they canceled her on MSNBC, although you could say it was because of her ratings, but when she came out and said a lot of stuff. But you're right, Andy. It does seem as if Bill O'Reilly, that the cancel culture affected conservatives more than the folks on the left, them not wanting to, because they can't handle the truth. I hope and pray that the next decade will bring something different and that people, aren't so politically correct and aren't so wired in with this whole canceling thing. Simply because you take a person down doesn't mean the facts don't remain. The truth still stays out there. And that holds true. Let's say one thing that we don't want to forget is the whole Me Too movement, which at one point people thought that it was going to affect conservatives, but you see now that it's affecting more liberals, and I think, and rightfully so, if you did something wrong, definitely, you should be called on it. But along with the Me Too movement, we saw that a lot of people trying to say that, bring in this whole thing with the toxic men and wanted to water down men and their roles and how they behave, which segues into sports and how sports became so political. And I know you have a lot to say about that with Colin Kaepernick and his crazy ways.
Yeah, so it's a disgrace. The NFL had the national anthem protest where the players would kneel for the national anthem, totally disrespecting the veterans and patronizing probably half of their audience at least.
Right.
You had NBA bowing to communist China over the Hong Kong protest.
That was scary. That was really scary because you have China that they're making major footprints in Southeast Asia and around the world for the most part. And they really want world domination. And Donald Trump in this decade and the previous decades have been talking about this for the longest. And we have Joe Biden who doesn't see it. Sleepy Joe, he doesn't see it because he's busy profiting from China and the lodges. So you have all these people who are profiting from the wrong group are telling us, oh, look the other way. It's like, come on, folks, wake the heck up.
Mm-hmm. It's such BS that they claim this Colin Kaepernick's being blackballed from the NFL.
No.
The guy sucks. He was benched his last season that he was in the league because he wasn't even good enough to start. It's not worth the headache to have on your team, clearly, for a backup quarterback.
he's a loser. He's a loser, but in the meantime, he's making millions of dollars by standing up and saying, oh, they don't want me because I stood up for my rights. Just the other day, he wanted to drag this whole thing when President Trump is attacking people of color. Well, buddy, the last time I looked, the Iranians, yeah, there are some of them with color, but a lot of them are pale. So this whole thing with President Trump is attacking people of color, up yours. Go somewhere else. Okay? Stop trying to be so divisive. Please. Go away. Just go away. Tame your hair. Play with your hair. Braid your hair. But do something other than try to become a political pundit because you're not. Okay? You're not. You sucked at playing football. You passed your years. And now you want to you want more attention by trying to dabble into politics. Just go away. Okay? Go away.
Yes. We also had the disrespectful women's soccer team that was representing the United States of America going and foreign soil and bashing our president and bashing our country. It was just disgraceful to see. We also remember after President Trump got inaugurated, the huge women's march in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
With Madonna saying that she fantasized about blowing up the White House.
Right.
Plenty of other celebrities there. Just hundreds of thousands of women in pink pussy hats showing up for boycott President Trump. I guess we'll get started on that. To me, that's the top story of the decade is President Trump and Hillary Clinton, the 2016 election. Two were quite entertaining running up to the election. I'm not so sure there's ever been debates that were as entertaining and as looked forward to as the Clinton versus Trump debates. President Trump emerged as a political outsider, is polling high right from the start, took out all the Republicans. Jeb Bush was heavily favored that year when President Trump first entered the field. He ended up taking out Jeb Bush. Then he had Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz who were running neck and neck with him for a while. He ended up pulling away ahead of those two. And if you look at the Republicans running back there, you had like John Kasich and Jeb Bush, and you had Paul Ryan as the Speaker of the House. It really shows how far the Republican Party has came since President Trump decided to run for president.
Illinois homeowners, if you have a ComEd meter like this,
absolutely, I can agree with you more. And that was the way the Constitution was designed. It was designed so that regular people, not politicians, not polls, could, run for president because they had a vision and they saw something that needed to be done. Barack Obama said that the urgency of now and the sense of hope, well, he failed us miserably. Whereas Donald Trump, within the first 3 years, look at the accomplishments. Look at I don't want to say the stock market. Let's forget about the stock market, although the stock market has been on fire. Look at the economy. Look at unemployment, the lowest it has been in the past 50 years. Okay. Look at the way he handles foreign affairs. I mean, this guy is on fire. And again, this is not his second term. This is all within his first term. Mm-hmm. And what does the opposition, the media, and the Democrats, what are they showing? Trump derangement syndrome. Not only did we see the rise of Donald Trump and showing us what a president could really do, or what a president should be like, and to make the country great again, we also saw the media being completely biased, hateful, nasty. CNN just lost a lawsuit. They settled a lawsuit with a teenager whom they viciously attacked. Again, on full blast, we see these people just melt down because of a man who wasn't a politician decided, I want to make the country great again. They have thrown everything at him, including the bathroom sink and the kitchen sink. Now, before he ran, they loved him. They loved his money, especially the Democrats wanting him to donate to their campaigns. Now that he's the president and he's turning things around, what have they decided to do? Trump up these charges that he colluded with Russia, only to find out he didn't collude with Russia. Now there was a quid pro quo, only to find out there wasn't. But then we're going to impeach him for whatever reason. We don't know why. We're just going to impeach him. We've been trying to impeach him since before he was elected. Why are they doing this? Because they don't want Barack Obama to go down in history as a failed president, making him a footnote as opposed to a first black president, just a footnote, and that's it. Hats off to Donald Trump and making America great again. He should keep making America great again. Yes. And exposing these liars.
There are all kinds of huge moments during that campaign. We've seen the crowds start to come out for Trump rallies. Just
unbelievable.
Of thousands of people coming out to see President Trump. Of course, we've seen the left try and dig up some dirt on him. We've seen the Access Hollywood tape. But I love President Trump's counter when he had Bill Clinton's accusers show up for a press conference the same night.
That was a classic.
As the presidential debate. I mean, you couldn't have wrote a script any better than what the 2016 election went. I'll give my thoughts first, and then I'll let you give yours. The night of the election was such an exciting night. I remember I was optimistic for President Trump, but I wasn't too confident in him winning. And as the night went on, as soon as Trump took Ohio, it just became obvious, and then Florida later on, became obvious that the odds were in his favor. I was flicking back and forth through all the channels, watching the fake news media melt down when they realized that Hillary Clinton wasn't going to break the glass ceiling as they needed to time and time again during the broadcast.
Yeah.
Then you got President Trump coming out at the end of the night.
Classic.
2 or 3 in the morning, I don't remember. It was super late, giving his speech. And then you fast forward to the inauguration, and you see the Women's March and probably the meme of the decade, that kid screaming at the sky because President Trump won. Yeah, it was just a great time to be an American.
Absolutely.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on the election night 2016?
It was a momentous moment. It was phenomenal. And unlike yourself, when he won the first state, I knew that. I'm like, this guy's going to win it. And I called all my friends and I said, he's going to win it. I'm like, he is going to win this. When he won Philadelphia, I'm like, it's over. And I think this is around 9 or 10. I'm like, he is going to win. Now, of course, the media was having a meltdown and they were saying, oh, well, Hillary Clinton, she's going to come in here and she's going to give him a beating and she's going to show him this is what it's like. Well, it didn't work. Okay. Because he won. He had a plan. He won the Electoral College while she was trying to win all these big states and she was walking around trying to smile and, oh, I'm going to do this, and had the media partying with her. They were partying at her campaign headquarters and all these different places and they were, oh, we're going to win. But as the night went on and the numbers started to come in, a solemn moment was on her campaign. And you saw all these droopy faces, and then tears, and then disgust. And then, how can it be? Donald Trump, the man that we thought we had done him in, he's going to win? It can't be. And then the next morning, she comes out in all purple, all solemn, and, oh, well, he won. I'm going to concede. But they didn't think he could do it. And then the next day, what happens? He's not my president. He's not my president. He cheated. Just like
liberal hysteria started right away.
Right. He won fair and square. And the questions that they had put to him, if you don't win this, are you going to walk away? No one asked Hillary Clinton that. And they should have, because she did it. And they fabricated this whole thing with Russian collusion. The only collusion that took place was Hillary Clinton and the liberal media. He won the election fair and square. And to this day, at what time is it? 6:35 p.m. Eastern Time, January 9th, 2020, they are yet to accept the fact that he won and he's still their president. No matter the fact that they impeached him, he is still their president.
Right? An interesting thing to keep in mind from that night was going into the night, the New York Times said that Hillary Clinton had a 95% chance of winning, and they also did not have President Trump beating her on any poll during the entire election cycle. And then he just wipes the mat with her, wins every single swing state, and it was an impressive sight to see. Those polls are not to be believed when you see Biden up several points on President Trump.
Oh, not at all. I don't believe them at all. When I see them, I'm like, and even if it's CNN and all the liberal media polls and they're polling their staff and their people, but the reality, when you really look at it, as was the case in 2016, their polls were flawed. And it also gave that last decade also gave birth to the term fake news, which I love, because CNN, fake news CNN, and all the other news stations, they were all fake. Like you said, the night of the election, when he won, they could not accept it. And the doom and gloom on their faces, on reporters, journalists, crying openly on TV, saying, oh, and Michelle Obama saying, oh, this is what it's like when you have no hope. I'm like, are you serious? I mean, these people, Trump derangement syndrome set in, and they haven't been able to shake it since the election of 2016. And that's unbelievable.
That's right. Another interesting story from the decade is there was once a top Democrat from New York. He was fiery and tenacious. He could be a future president of the United States. And then he could not stop texting pictures of his penis to women.
Wait, is that the Weenie Man? Weenie Man?
Anthony Weiner himself. I believe he just got out of jail for his pedophilia behaviors.
Yeah, quick story, and this is the truth. Since he's been out, I've seen him on the streets. I'm in New York. I've seen him, and I wanted to take a picture of him and just say, "Hey, Anthony, hey, buddy, can I take a quick picture?" But he was with his kid. Excuse me, he was with his kid, and I didn't want to cause any commotion or anything like that. But he has been out and about town. I don't know if he's looking for someone to show his weenie to, but beware, because yeah. Well, she was probably off at a hotel with Hillary, plotting Hillary's comeback. But the Weenie Man has been out and about town.
Yeah, it's none of my business. But can you imagine that? Abedin, I read, actually got right back with Weiner when he got out of prison. So
really,
yeah, I guess she's awfully forgiving.
well, either she's awfully forgiving or she's addicted, and that's all I'll say. I won't say no more. I'll say no more.
And then we have also seen Tesla and Elon Musk come a long ways over the past 10 years. We've seen the SpaceX shooting rockets into space. They seem to be ahead of NASA by many accounts on some of the things they're doing. We've seen the Tesla cars, the electric cars. Should be interesting to see where this goes in the next 10 years, what they'll be coming out with by then.
And they're actually nice looking cars. I've seen them, the electric cars. They're really nice looking. I've driven in one, but I mean, I like the body. It's simple yet it's elegant. I like it.
I heard the Teslas are really fast.
Oh,
Tesla electric cars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I wonder if by the end of this next decade we'll be talking about the vacations to space that we've been
You never know.
about forever.
Or flying cars. You never know.
But yeah, we had a great decade here, and it's ending on a positive note. President Trump is in office. We get to vote for him again in November 2020. Start off with another great 4 years.
Absolutely.
MAGAmedia.org, and for America, when President Trump gets reelected, not if.
Yes. Yes.
Quite a bit of subjects we covered here, about 20 of them, I believe. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Rob?
Just one real briefly. We also saw not the rise, but the steady rise of Amazon, which is just like dominated the retail space. Amazon battling with Walmart. We saw the close of a lot of retail stores, online shopping booming. And I mean, hopefully the next decade will be the same with a lot of commerce and America being made great again, as Donald Trump said, keeping America great. And you can't ask for anything more when you're living in a country, the greatest country in the world, with all the freedoms and liberties that we have. And you have people who are pulling themselves up by the bootstrap and they're making things happen. I know that a lot of people don't like it. I know that a lot of people have a difference of opinion, but at some point, you got to say that Donald Trump is doing a heck of a job. The same way we acknowledge that Barack Obama took out bin Laden, people have got to acknowledge the fact that, I mean, he's not your traditional speaker. He's not your traditional politician, but he is a politician who believes in America and who's getting things done. And if you want to capture that, if you want to see it, you better jump on board and visit Mega Media, because you'll definitely get to share those stories.
Yes, very shortly we should be back with a podcast. We'll cover the Trump and Salmonelli fallout.
Yes.
The Iran just shot down the plane with 63 Canadians aboard. What will the fallout from that be? The Democrats' response to Iran, which has been pretty disgusting.
Yep.
And the impeachment articles Nancy Pelosi says she's getting ready to send over.
Yeah,
All right,
right.
guys. Thanks a lot for listening. Please keep on tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Have a great year.